Hey, Coach Kinsey Shae here. Like, subscribe, do all that fun jazz. Today, we're going to talk about or your way to a new reality. Many of you might be like, what does that mean? I'm going to kind of set it up and really talk about two concepts that helped me gain awareness into how my body works and my mind and how that propelled me forward. So take a deep dive, kind of, it's not really a deep dive, kind of skim over it so you get the essence of what led to a aha moment. And it went to the WTF moment of, you know, I need to do something different and then surrendering to a new possibility. So the two concepts, before I go into them, there was points in my life where, there was a time when I was doing everything that everybody else was doing that to be successful, right? I had my job, I was a nurse. I was married and I was taking care of people and I really identified with my job to the point where I lost my identity. And I had just this vast emptiness because we have a tendency to want to tell us that we're doing everything right. We want to feel accepted. We want to do what everybody else is doing. But we get to the point where it costs us our happiness. So that was, the first point. So, in that time, I, made a decision. I got a divorce. I'm not saying that's the right decision for everybody, but for me at that time, getting a divorce. And then was kind of struggling like I have so much more inside me than just my career. But I still held on to that identity of who I was. But this time, the decision wasn't, I didn't make a decision to change. And it was made for me because I got into a car accident where I almost lost my life, my arm, and ended up in a wheelchair on a 22 surgery journey where I didn't know what my purpose was going to be. And in that moment, you know, I got the irritation of my circumstances, and I declared that that was not going to be me. I was not going to be defined by my disability. And I made surrendered actions, and that is what has led me to your screen today. So, the two key concepts that really opened my eyes in my self development journey of gaining awareness was Bob Proctor. I did his program, and it really talks about the terror barrier, how we're kind of initially stuck in the bondage of doing life, how we know how to do it. And then we move into, we just stay in that. We don't think about it. We do the day to day to day, right? And then we move up to the reasoning like, I know I can do more in my life. There's so much more. But then we reason it away. I can't do that because nobody in my family has done it. I can't do that because, I'm a female or the color of my skin. All of those things where we push away what we want and we go back to that bondage. And then the next little step is, we hit conflict when we pass through the bondage and the reasoning. And we really come smack dab in our face of things that, that we have to change to progress. We have to change our behaviors, have to change how we show up, how we have to change our relationship with ourselves. So we have this conflict, and then this huge wall comes in our face, and that's the terror barrier. It's almost being at the cliff, you know, can I do that? But then you go down the whole rabbit hole of the conflict, the reasoning, and we will make a decision to go back to that bondage of doing life how we did, or we will leap off into surrendered action to a new freedom of being ourselves, our essence, our truth. Now, that's the Cliff Note version. Uh, the second one was when I was going through my training with Lisa Nichols and Sean Smith, where they talked about arrested development. It's similar, but they complement each other in learning how our mind and body and spirit work. So there's three key steps, in this. It's pure and simple. We're born, okay. And then something happens, a trauma, a breakup, an accident, a change in life, your partner leaves you. It could be anything that triggers a kind of a trauma response in your nervous system. And then we develop protection layers. And our ego takes stock of all of those protections from our memories, our beliefs. It's kind of like our phone. When you have your phone and you have all the apps running, and we're thinking about the self-talk of, the breakup, the job that we didn't get, the, you know, this how I did this last time and this is what happened. So it's going to happen again. All of the self-talk, right? So we have protections and it triggers it to go to that app. So it will pull that app and download that info. And that will have us turn back. Now you might be, where do all these thoughts come from? You see, we have 60,000 thoughts a day. And those turn into our emotions. And whether we anchor to positive or negative emotion, this is an awareness point. If we anchor to the negative or the positive, it turns into our memories, our beliefs, and how we show up, our behaviors, our habits, our lifestyles. Now, there's a lot of things that can be arrested in this, meaning that it can affect three things. It can affect our self-esteem because our self-esteem doesn't grow or decrease. It just gets covered by all of our circumstances, all of our baggage that we carry around each and every day if we don't choose to move through them. To our self-love and our self-concept. When we disassociate or move away from, you know, nourishing ourselves with our emotions, over time, we don't even know what it feels like to love ourselves. Have you been so deep in your circumstances where you have said, I don't even know what it would feel like if I didn't have this? You're not able to touch your self-love. You're not able to touch your self-concept. Now, over time, this will affect your self-trust because we're listening to all the negative self-talk, and we lose trust in our capabilities to progress forward because we're pulling from our protection that we armor ourselves with to keep us safe. So think back like when you're a little kid and you're walking around, there's no care in the world. We don't have all of these noises in our head, all of the chaos. We just go and we're curious of life. So we have something that triggers us that doesn't feel safe. This is where the protection begins. And this is all, we file that all into our memories, our beliefs, our values, our skills, our habits, our language, how we talk to each other, how we talk to somebody else. And then, we might try to push forward for a little bit, but then we automatically will go back and go behind that ego's protection to keep us safe. Now, ego is not bad or good. We can cultivate a relationship with our ego to say, hey, thank you for the protection. Thank you. I honor and celebrate you for that. But I'm moving a new way to do life. I am safe. Now, this can play a good role when you need to go back. If you're going to walk across the street and there's a bus coming, that's when it's protection. That's when it's necessary. But if it's protecting us from past traumas that we could move through, that's when we're holding ourselves back. So now we're to the point where I say, or, because we're like, we go through the motions of life and we're like, I really want to do this, and I really, you know, but it's going to be more comfortable in this. I know how to do this, but we allow ourselves to kind of fantasize about a new reality, and we could do or. So ORR, we exaggerate the or out, where we can conceptualize a new reality. So, you know, with Bob Proctor, he does the 3 R's. It's review, rethink, and rewrite. But I'm using ORR. The first O is observe without judgment. You're going to get the satellite view of your life without having the emotional attachment and the negative self-talk. That's where we're going to shut down that protective measure, because this is where we can learn our lessons and progress forward. R, reflect. I kind of went into that with the O, but R is reflect and rethink. So we can reflect on what we have done by not anchoring onto that positive, or not anchoring on to all the negative self-talk and everything we tell us, stuff that has kept us stuck, and rethink new possibilities. Or I like to say it, leverage your knowledge, leverage what didn't go right, what your lesson was, and how you can change it to progress forward. So really leverage your experience so you can gain autonomy over yourself, to gain, your self-love back, your self-concept, your self-trust, and move through the circumstances so that you can see your self-esteem that can turn into self-confidence. And then the next one is another R, and it is regulate to reclaim. Our body is very powerful. And if we learn how and observe how our body is working, it gives us a pathway to go forward of what we need to work through to lead to our next best self. I like to look at that as like little stair steps going up. It will guide you on your quest to self-discovery so you can reclaim your essence. Because when our body gets triggered, it activates our nervous system to react in a certain way. And that's not in coherence, meaning our heart and our brain are not in coherence. And over time, that can cause disease. But if we regulate our heart and our brain with our emotions, with replenishing emotions, we can move ourselves forward and reclaim our potential of who we could be, who we know we can be. So today was just an awareness piece of how our mind, our body, emotion, our spirit works so that you can gain awareness, so you can reach that point of irritation, because you need irritation to a breakthrough to a new you, so that you can move into a declaration of what you will not tolerate and declare what you will be, so that you can make surrendered action and move past the terror barrier, move past the protective layers we shield ourselves with, so that we can reclaim our truth, our essence, to discover us, to discover you. So when you look in the mirror, you smile and say, baby, you got this. So I invite you today to just absorb this in, listen to it a couple of times, gain awareness of what's going on in your body, and that you have a decision point in everything you do. You can feed the depleting negative emotions, the self-talk, the protection, everything that does not serve us. Or you can anchor to the positive emotions of gratitude, appreciation, care, to move you forward, to propel you in your life to a new reality. My name is Coach Kinsey Shae, transformational coach and heart math trauma sensitive practitioner, your guide to your truth, to your essence, to self-discovery, alignment, to a new you. I just want to honor and celebrate you for taking the time to learn about yourself so that you can anchor in you. I will see you next Saturday. And, you know, tune in on my daily resets Monday through Friday. Everything's at 8 p.m. Eastern uh, EST time. And like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. And remember, you are loved, you are honored, you are celebrated. It's time to honor and celebrate yourself. Much gratitude. Have a blessed week, and I will see you next week.